Hi, this is LeJune with LeJune Singleton LLC, Fitness, Health, Nutrition, and Wellness Podcast. Today, I would like to introduce a client that I work with on the health coaching side, Deandra Odom. Thank you for joining me, Deandra.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you give a little background on who you are?
As you said, I'm Deandra Odom. I am, let's see, a 41-year-old mother and wife. I work in healthcare, but I also co-own with my husband what used to be a catering company, but as of 2 weeks ago, we are now a fully running sports bar restaurant in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have two children, ages 5 and 9. So I am your typical working mom, wife, or soccer mom, if you will. uh, and that's pretty much my day to day. Someone that struggles with trying to balance a healthy living with an active life of other people.
And what was some of the biggest frustrations for you with losing weight?
For me, the biggest frustration was understanding that I guess one, you don't lose weight as quickly as you gain. And then trying to wrap my head around that it wasn't so much my diet as it was the skipping meals and the stress and just not taking the time to rest. So that was hard for me because it's hard to self-evaluate. It's easy to say, hey, I need to cut calories or I need to do this, but it's hard to self-evaluate and say, you know what, you need to make yourself rest. You need to make yourself eat because it felt selfish to me. Like I felt like my weight loss goals were selfish because it was not about my husband and not about our children. So it seemed like I was being selfish.
Which, most women feel because they feel they are the person that's catering to everyone and they forget about themselves. So that's definitely understandable. What had you tried in the past?
Oh goodness, I have tried some of everything. I completed a program through one of the Pennington Biomedical Research Center here in Baton Rouge that was a weight loss program combined with alcohol consumption called the Consume Study. So I completed that study. I did lose weight, but it was so strict that it was difficult to keep up long term. Um, then I actually went to, I can't think of the name of that place, one of those weight loss places, and I tried like that. I think it's Adapex or whatever. I've tried that. I tried just not eating.
Well, yeah,
um, that clearly doesn't work. And
right.
obviously, through working with you, I learned that it had the adverse effect. So
Right.
that wasn't smart. So I've tried, I've never really just done a lot of diets because I know that I'm not going to be committed to a diet. And for me, I didn't want to like lose weight for something. And what I mean by that is I didn't want to lose weight to fit in a ball gown. I didn't want to lose weight to go to a 10, 20, 30-year reunion, anything like that. I wanted to lose weight to add longevity and healthy living to my life, in general. Um, so that was my plan. But uh, of course I tried exercise. I tried joining up for fitness classes, which was good, but I wasn't taking in enough calories, so then I would have iron issues and things like that.
Okay. And what was the breaking point for you where you said that I want a overall lifestyle change?
The breaking point for me was not being able to keep up with my kids. Like I don't expect to be able to, run a marathon with them, but just basic every day. I shouldn't have been getting exhausted or being winded, just basic playing, tossing a ball around in the yard. And weight also. I don't think I really shared this during any of our sessions, but I can say, weight gain also affects your intimacy, which affects your marriage.
Right. Yep.
Um, so those things were breaking points for me. Like if I don't feel comfortable with who I see in the mirror, then I can't feel comfortable being intimate with my spouse, and that's a problem. You know, um, so those things were kind of the breaking point for me. And like I said, I don't think I mentioned it during our sessions because it also was difficult to just accept that that was part of the problem.
Right. And which is, for most women, we feel that, okay, I don't feel sexy to
Right,
all the way. And it's not that that person is telling you, like, baby, you look good. If you don't feel like you look good, it doesn't really matter what somebody says to you. It's what you
right,
see.
exactly. And and that was his thing. His thing was, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with how you look. Why are you beating yourself up? And I'm like, thank you, but it's not really about you right now.
Right.
This is something that I need. I need to feel comfortable. I need to be okay. I still need to be okay. I still have I don't want to say a long way to go, but I still have a way to go. But I have a plan now.
Right.
I'm not just saying, hey, I want to lose weight and let me go sit on the couch and do nothing.
Right. So working with me, how was that different than other programs that you've done in the past?
You were realistic. Let's be honest. That was for me the biggest difference was realistic. And what I mean by that is most programs are like, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. You got 1,000 calories. You never said what I couldn't do. You actually never told me to do anything. Um, the biggest thing too was before we even went into like coming up with exercises or being cognizant of what I was eating, the biggest thing that you did was let's talk about what's stressing you out. Let's talk about what's causing you to skip meals. Let's talk about what's causing you to binge eat when you do binge eat, or why are you grabbing that extra margarita? It was forcing me to talk about like, you know what, I have too many irons in the fire and I need to take a step back from some stuff, and I need to not feel guilty about it. It was making me realize that needing a break from my kids was not something to be a bad mom. That didn't make me a bad mom. Um, so that was different because most weight loss programs do not care about your mental health. They don't care about the overall picture. They don't have a comprehensive plan. Everything is about eat less, move more, eat less, move more, which is fine because I mean that's proven. It's evidence based. But the long term, if you don't fix what's going on inside, then you're going to go back to your old habits. And what I notice is even when I do feel myself getting back into those places, now I'm aware of what it is, so I know to be like, up, pause, don't go there. And so that was the biggest difference for me was being able to really just talk about even how it happened because a lot of other places immediately assume that you gain weight because you eat so much or you're overeating, and I was never like I never felt like what, for lack of a better word, and just keeping it real basic, or as my niece and nephew would say, just keeping it real, you never made me feel like a pig. Like, I never felt judged. I never felt like, even if I did eat something bad, I didn't feel like I had to be like, I ate a cupcake. Because the way you work with people is like, okay, I know you don't want a cupcake, so I'm not about to tell you you can have a cupcake. Right. Just account for that cupcake. Right. Like, you ate the cupcake, so you got to account for it. Versus never eat a cupcake, never eat bread, never have wine, never have this. It wasn't like an army command. It wasn't like being in basic training.
And I think, definitely, because when I started with you, you were 243 pounds and you are now in the 100 range, which I am so proud of and so happy for you. And this was all with just mindset change. So
Right.
how did that, knowing that you just did mindset, you did some tweaking of nutrition, how did that make you feel? Whereas you worked in other programs where they talked about nutrition and fitness and things like that.
It really made me excited to know that. To me, it gave me control. Does that make sense? Like, instead of having to be committed to something that has no end, that's the reality. Weight loss programs don't have an end. Right. But being able to take control of it mentally and change my mindset. I mean, honestly, I know I came to you about losing weight, but for me, it was just the beauty of not feeling bad about doing stuff for me. And weight loss fell into that category or falls into that category. But just not feeling bad about doing stuff for me, even if that, a perfect example was, talking to you about buying stuff for my kids, and you were like, wait a minute, when the last time you bought something for yourself? And I was like, oh, haven't. And forcing me to have those conversations, because one of the things that I know I brought up in the beginning was I had no idea who I was if you pulled me away from my children, my job, and my spouse. I could not tell you who I was. I think I had totally become consumed with being a mother, being a wife, being a professional, that who Deandra was at the surface, it was gone. And I felt guilty about wanting to be able to be myself again. But I don't anymore. And that, changing that mindset alone makes it so much easier to take care of yourself.
And that is definitely big because I think we as women, we get so consumed with work, we get so consumed with family, we get so consumed with everything else except ourselves, and we lose ourselves. And, one of the questions I always ask my clients as well as my guests is like, can you give a background of who you are? Because it helps you understand who you are as a person, because the first thing we always say is, well, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I work here, I do this, I do that, but those are a part of who you are, but it really doesn't define who you are as a person. So I
Right,
thought that was really, when you just told me, you were like, you know what? I struggle with this question because I'm not sure yet. And then we came back to it weeks later, and you were able to give it to me because you figured out who Deandra was. And that was, that big aha moment for you. And I was like, all right, she gets it. She
right,
understands
right,
who she is now. She understands this process. She understands when things start coming up for what are those triggers for her. And that was like, okay, she's starting to get it. And once you start to get those things, you start to see change in how you eat, how you behave, what you let trigger you, those type of things. And I think that was very powerful for you because, you said you've had to struggle for a while, and you were able to get to this point where you were like, nah, it's about me, so I'm making this change.
hmm and not feel guilty. And I mean, and if I'm to be totally transparent, it didn't start when I became a mother or a wife. For me, it started, even in childhood, because I wanted to. I don't want to say be the best daughter, because that's clearly impossible. But being the daughter to a mother who was battling cancer, my primary goal became not upsetting her, not stressing her out, not complaining about anything, because hey, I'm complaining and my mom is battling cancer. And I became so consumed with that I think that's, well, I know I said it, that's when I initially kind of lost who I was, and was like everything became about taking care of other people. Like
Right.
everything became about taking care of other people. And in essence, my mom has been deceased for 18 years. And so, in essence, over half of my life was spent and dedicated totally to other people, totally to thinking about other people. And I know that we should consider our fellow man first, but I had taken it a step beyond consideration. And in some instances, let's just be real. In some instances, playing God, like, oh, they got a problem, let me fix it.
Right.
I got to fix everybody. But in the meantime, nobody was fixing me. And by nobody, I mean me. I wasn't fixing
Right.
me.
Right. So now, what does health and wellness mean to you?
Health and wellness for me starts with me. And what I mean is, whatever that looks like for me in that season, in that day, in that moment, that I have to take charge and do that. If that means that I need to close the door to the bathroom and say, "Look, I'm getting a bath, don't call my name," and not feeling guilty about it, that's what I need to do. If it means my kids want smothered pork chops and that's not what I need to eat for that day, then hey, smother the pork chops for them and don't feel guilty about cooking something different, um, or don't feel guilty about telling them, "Hey, that's not what I'm cooking today." Uh, if I need to get up, like one of the things that I started doing during this program that really, or during working with you, that's really been good, is turning the camera off on my meetings for work And while we're in those 2-3 hour meetings, or even if they're not 90 minutes, whatever they are, standing up doing jumping jacks, running in place, jumping rope in the house, things like that. That's what it has become for me.
Mhm. So, for other people who are interested in a lifestyle change, what would you suggest or recommend to them?
You mean aside from calling you?
Well,
um,
I would definitely love for them to call me, but from your perspective.
from my perspective, just take a deep look inside and find out. Because let me be honest, losing weight isn't going to change anybody's self-esteem. It's not going to change anybody's depression. It's not going to change anything you have going on mentally. People have lost exorbitant amounts of weight. People have done surgeries. People have done a lot of things, but it doesn't change who you are as a person. And so what I recommend is start with yourself and say, you know what? What are my triggers? What ticks me off? And what do I do? How do I react? It's cliche, but the reality is we can't control other people's actions, but we can control our reaction. And so sometimes you have to stop and see what those triggers are. If eating is your Achilles heel, what's causing you to keep just sitting there and eating and eating and eating and eating and eating? What's making that happen? Because it's not hunger, it's not, not necessarily lack of control as much as it is something else inside of you. So take that deep dig inside of you. And it doesn't mean that we feel like mental health or depression, we see those as negative words, but let's be clear. Every human being has a excess of emotions, and either we emote well or we don't emote well, whichever way. There are things that we are shoving down inside of us that we're not addressing, and it comes out as poor lifestyle. It really does. Even your posture. When you're in a bad mood, when you're feeling defeated, your posture suffers. That's a health issue. I know when I'm frustrated, and especially like in these mom groups, the first thing we holler is, "Ooh, girl, let's get a glass of wine." Why is that your default? Or why does that glass turn into the bottle? So yeah, just learning to recognize those things and being okay with them being there. We're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you are a neurosurgeon. You got issues. Take them. Take care of them. Take charge of them. People like to assume that money fixes everything. That's not the end all be all either. Being in a higher socioeconomic class does not eliminate stress for you. Maybe financial stress, but other shit be going on.
Right.
So you got to deal with it. You have to deal with it.
I definitely agree. And what would you tell busy career women the reason why they should work with me?
The reason for me is simple. It's because you, again, keeping it real, not being unrealistic, not being judgmental, and because you've been there. You're not somebody that has been a size 0 your whole life trying to tell people that what they need to do. It's like, I've been there. I've been through these steps myself. And in fairness, you were transparent in that you still go through these steps. You still have to be cognizant. You didn't get to where you are now, and just put a plug there. You have to work for it still. And that's something that, to me, that makes it different, because so many people, that are fitness gurus or what have you, they get caught up in where they are now and forget that they had to get there. Even people who have been athletic their entire lives, things happen. You have a baby, you get old, you have surgery, whatever that happens, it happens. And so I appreciate, and I think everyone else could appreciate and benefit from the fact that you are like, you know what? This is how I overcame it. This is what I do now. And I think that that's the biggest part, because nobody that's already struggling with weight needs to be beaten up about their weight. Nobody wants to be hounded. Let's be clear. We all have mirrors, so nobody needs you to hound them and not encourage and not motivate. I remember one particular week I ended up only losing I think half a pound, or I was stagnant. I don't remember. You were like, "It's okay. Like, girl, that's fine. That's gonna happen." And that just gave me the motivation to keep trying. I didn't feel defeated, Whereas Aspen, I went to the Aspen clinic once, and they were like, "Oh, you didn't lose anything this week," and I'm like, "Well, dang, thanks for the encouragement," you know.
Yeah, it is like that sometimes, but I do understand because we as women, our bodies go through so many hormonal changes. So it could be hormonal. Why you didn't lose weight? You ate something, it could be bloating or whatever. And I definitely, like I told you, I tell all clients to do a food sensitivity or allergy test to see what's going on, what's causing inflammation or anything in your body. So I definitely
Mm.
recommend that to all clients. But I definitely thank you for taking the time to give you a testimony of your experience of working with me. And can you give your information for your restaurant?
Sure. So we are Odom's Kitchen in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have a daily special every day. It changes. Mondays are red beans and rice. Tuesdays we have grilled lamb chops. On Wednesdays we have overstuffed seafood potatoes. On Thursdays we switch it up a little bit depending on kind of what people are talking about. And Fridays are fried catfish. Fried catfish is my cheat meal every week because I love me some fried catfish, but I have pulled away from most fried foods. We are located at 6120 Airline Highway, again in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you can check us out at eatwithodoms.com. That is eatwithodoms.com.
Yes, I haven't been there, but when everything opens back up, I would love to go because when I see the food online, it looks so good and has my mouth watering. So yeah, I'm definitely coming. That's going to be one of my first stops when I come to Louisiana. So just to let you
We
know.
will be waiting. We will be waiting. And look, and we also have frozen daiquiris. So if people want to have that, we count it in your calorie count. You got to include that in your calorie count. Uh, we have frozen daiquiris, and then at nighttime we have full open bar.
Uh, So definitely, I will also post that on the cover page so people can check it out as well. So thank you again for taking the time to do this and let people know what your experience was working with me and just your experience overall as a busy career woman, a mom, and a wife. The challenges you go through that are actually being verbalized because most people don't verbalize it. It's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm a wife, I'm a mom. This is what I was put on earth for, is to do all
Right.
this and not take care of myself. So I thank you for voicing that and what that looks like for you. So, and also, can you tell now what your self care looks like for yourself?
So the number one thing that I do every day is no matter what I have going on, I know this is going to sound really crazy to some people because a lot of people laugh at this, is I literally take the time to take a bath, not a shower, a bath, soaking in the tub, read a book in the bathtub at the end of every day. And for me, that is washing away everything that happened on this day and preparing for the next day, which means I'm not taking those things with me to the next day, and that helps me mentally, to literally just let it soak off.
And I think
Oh,
that's
and I let my children go on play dates now. I don't be acting funny, even though it's COVID. I mean, I'm very careful of who they go
right.
on play dates with, but they do, and I'm like, you know what? Y'all gonna be fine, and I let them do those things.
And I think that's important because you find whatever works for you is your self care, and nobody can take that away from you because people can say, okay, all right, you just taking a bath, but that's your time for you to regroup,
Hmm.
for you to refresh. So you're doing what works for you, and nobody can take that away from you. So continue to do that. And again, thank you so much for your time. I know you're
And
busy
thank
and you
you.
gotta go. So thank you.
Yes, well, thank you. I really appreciate it, and be on the lookout for me to come back and do part two of your program.
I am excited. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, and good luck to everyone that is set out on this goal. Don't give up.
Yes, please don't give up.